It's working. Right, let's go back.
Weirdly, I didn't have to press OK there.
Because you did it the last time.
Have you been watching Succession?
Succession?
Yeah.
No idea. Never even heard of it.
You've never heard of Succession? You're wrongin'. You're a wrongin'. This isn't the Saudi Arabian. Why has this not come live yet? Oh, there it is, Australian. Is this the actual live version? Oh no, there's the live version. Because we've now got 2 Australians.
Yeah, don't worry. I'll delete the other one once we finished. I've got a cough again. Right, should we do this?
Yeah.
Don't sound too excited.
Have you pressed record?
No, not yet. My finger is hovering over the button. I'm waiting for you to give me the okay and feel like you're.
I mean, I'm just on Slack. I'm not doing anything useful.
Yeah, so put Slack away. Stop messaging Lewis.
Louis?
Yeah. Right.
But that'll come up later.
Okay, I'm going to start this.
I think you've got to change your blurb on the old YouTube live.
Probably should, but I don't really care.
Please keep in mind there'll be technical issues. It's not that often. There will definitely be cats interrupting. There's not. Doorbells.
I didn't even know that was on there.
And children begging for attention. The final podcast we edited down to a much slicker experience.
Really.
Yeah, not really.
No,
We've given up
really.
with that.
To be honest, I didn't even know that it was even still on there, but hey ho. It's fine. Right, I'm starting.
Just be nice or we will cry. Yeah.
I'll turn that down a bit. It's a bit loud.
I can't even hear it.
I can't
We didn't
hear
test
you at
that.
all.
We didn't hit test it. I can't hear it. You haven't shared.
I haven't. You're right.
I can't hear anything.
Okay. Yeah, my bad.
Oh well,
It's fine.
we'll
Don't
just
worry.
make this up. You'll have to tell me when to go. I don't think anyone else can hear. Can you hear on YouTube? Jesus Christ!
Russell out of this race! Ricardo makes contact there with Kevin Magnussen, and there's a second contact!
No, this is fucked. I've lost my screen.
Do you know what? I said there's no technical issues.
Yeah, exactly.
Now,
That's what you did wrong.
I
I'm going to do this
cursed
again. Why is this not working? Right, there we go.
I cursed it. Hey!
Has taken the checkered flag to win!
It's a bit uppy down.
That was absolutely
Keep going
brilliant!
underwater.
No, Sergio Perez is giving it everything!
Really strong.
Oh, no, Mike, that was so not right! Goes Leclerc! Through goes Hamilton! Unbelievable stuff! And into each other goes Valtteri Bottas and Sergio Perez!
Bottas took out both their components.
And at the back, that's George Russell out of this race! Daniel Ricciardo makes contact there with Kevin Magnussen, and there's a second contact!
You
Well, I
cursed
fucked
it.
that up, didn't I?
You
I
cursed
cursed
it. Well,
that.
I fucked it up and you cursed it.
There we go. There
So
we go.
we've had, sorry. So, firstly, I'm ill, so apologies for any coughing or sneezing or anything going on during the podcast. And secondly, this is our second attempt at going live, and technically our third attempt. Technically our third
to
attempt,
starting the show.
because I started without sharing my audio, and then Carl said commented on the fact that the YouTube says, "Oh, that there'll be lots of technical issues," and we're like, "Nah, we never have technical issues." And then we had a technical issue, i.e., me not showing my audio. So, yeah. Excuse
we're doing
me.
well.
Sorry. So
Oh,
yes,
Tom, you're dying.
I am actually dying. I've
Do you know what it is? Post-show blues, mate. That's what
It's
it
not
is.
even post-show blues. I couldn't care less about The Little Mermaid.
I know, but you know what I mean. Like,
No, I could. It was a good show. It was a good show.
boogie.
But no, so bit of background. Now, this is not me whining about early starts of Formula One because I'm British and therefore all
You
of our
almost sound like
races-
George Russell. Me,
of our-
me, me, me.
All of our races are a great time for us. I love the early morning Grand Prix. If the race was on at 5 a.m. every week, I would love it. I would.
What I'd love to know is how the drivers and everyone else that on the circus manages to deal with sleep deprivation and
Well,
the
there's
facts of
ways.
jet
There's
lag.
ways around jet lag, isn't there? Like people who travel all the time are professional jet lag avoiders, so they know how to get around
I
it.
don't know how they do it. How would you do it?
So basically, as a result of that, I came along to Sunday and I was up at 3 a.m. Saturday morning, worked straight through until just gone midnight, went to an after show party, got home pretty much straight to the Grand Prix after a quick power nap. And then I've not really recovered since. So, and then I got ill. So, it's all self-inflicted. But yeah, that's why I'm a bit out of sorts today. But hey, I'm here. How are you?
I'm good. I'm all the kids are on half term, so it's sort of they are and they aren't. Like the two girls have been away to school pretty much all day, but then we've had Killian's friend over today, so that was madness. But I've just been daddying and like house building and not really doing that much. It's quite nice actually. And trying to sort out mortgages and dull, boring, housey, boring stuff, So yeah, very boring, but like it's all good. We're getting there. And yeah, there's not really been that much in my life to be chatting about. I this sort of week I haven't really done much. Actually, when was the last time we were on? That was 2 weeks ago. So I ended up doing a week of work 2 weeks ago. It was quite mad. On a show called Hidden Assets, which was called in last minute. But apart from that, I haven't really done much. So it's quite nice.
Is it about the Red Bull budget?
That's quite good.
Oh no, sorry, that's catering budget, isn't it?
Do you know what? No, it's about what they call over here. They call it cab, and it's and there's one of the locations. So I'm in locations world, and one of the locations was the cab office, and I thought it was just like a taxi office because I was coming in last minute. I was like, so we're looking for a taxi office. They were like, oh no, cab, Criminal Assets Bureau. I was like, oh, that's very different from a taxi office. So there I was looking for a taxi office, coming up with ideas. And then eventually I went, lad, what's this lad at? Like, no idea what the fuck is it.
Nicely done. Nicely done.
Hey.
Right. So we had a Grand Prix. It was the Australian Grand
did.
Prix. It was a Grand Prix of 4 halves, apparently.
4 halves.
Yeah, well, I had 4 red flags, one of which was after the flag, and 2 of which were on the last
That makes
3
it 4
laps.
quarters, as far as I was aware. 4 halves doesn't make any sense.
Yeah,
That's
but
2 holds.
Yeah, but 2 of them were relevant, so that means it was 2 halves and 2 irrelevant bits.
Yeah.
Okay, so it's like a cake with 2 candles.
That's just a hole.
Yeah.
No, it's a layer cake,
hole.
isn't it?
Mm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. So are we doing what I think happened?
Yeah, let's see what you think happened while I mute the mic and die for a bit.
Okay. Tom's just dying there, everyone. So yeah, like he's literally just dying. Anyway, first coffee was made at 5:45. I like Martin Brundle, but he couldn't be asked to get up to get there either. So Russell had a great start. Hamilton up, shite, Verstappen start. Charlie Boy spun. Stroll saved Alonso being taken out by Charles. Oh yeah, interesting. And safety Albon in 6th. I've literally no idea what I'm writing here. Max whinging. Max whinging again. Double stop Perez. Hard, medium, hard. So obviously that all happened in that starting section. Anyway, so then there was 444,000 people. 444,000, is that right?
That's over the weekend, yeah. So it's basically 100,000 a day.
Okay, that's the size of Bristol that turned up.
Well,
anyway,
it's only a quarter of the size of Bristol because they obviously came over 4 days. So
okay. Anyway, poor Albon. Poor Albon. He was doing really well. He was in P6, but then pushed too much or did something. And then Gasly missed him by inches. I think it was Gasly. Could be Ocon. I don't know. They were pretty interchangeable, those two in their pink. Are they still in the pink Mercedes? They are. They haven't changed the blue one yet. When did they change the blue one?
Well, it's an Alpine,
anyway,
it's not a Mercedes.
Alpine, sorry. Anyway, red flag. Yep, can't stop to look laughing at Russell. I don't know. Toto's head must be fucked. Oh yeah, that was because he got called in for a pit, and I just then started crying with laughter. Should it have been a red? I'm sure we will talk about that one. Anyway, restart. Gasly in fourth, De Vries going for a wonder. Is he the new coffee merchant? But Ocon's fault. Verstappen takes Lewis. Massive gap to Alonso though. DRS too effective. Again, this is what happens when I talk in the morning, because I literally have no idea what's going on. Oh, Russell, stealing Louis Edwards' words, the Merc's on fire, 2 on fire. Russell fucking up there. Sorry, I had to swear. He should have binned it somewhere stupid. Yeah, we need to talk about this. Should he have binned it somewhere stupid that would have caused a red flag, which would have helped Hamilton at that point? Bearing in mind, we don't know what else happened beyond that. Anyway, Rice has settled down. Third time for coffee. Loving the Lady B quote there, Crofty. Did you hear the Lady Bracknell quote?
Yes, I did. Yes.
Anyway, love a bit of Oscar. Loving the Hulk Lando battle, but Lando having issues in a muddy car. Hulk lost his shit. Yeah, doesn't surprise me. That was always expectable. 3 wheels on my Haas, and Magnussen is still rolling along. Safety car with 4 laps. Okay, red flag. 3-lap race. Standing start? Question mark. 4th coffee time. Restart. Carnage. What the actual fuck? Who is out? I can't work it out. Gasly, Oscon, Sargent. Well, what the fuck is this countback? I don't understand the countback. But Alonso is like a super fan because he suddenly can work while he's driving around, can work out what the hell's going on. While I'm still stood there going, what the hell's going on? I literally cannot understand any of that countback thing. I'm sure we'll explain that later. How the hell will this end? Like, seriously, there will be complaints to whatever happens. And there was from the Haas and from Ferrari. Lap 57 restart. Not sure I agree with this. Science penalty, but how does this work? This is for Fastcall. Only 12 cars left. 12. That's what happened. Race finished with Verstappen, Hamilton, Alonso, 3 podiums in a row. No idea who should be 4. Should have been Sainz. But 5 penalty second. 8 grid place penalty in the end for him. Madness.
Yeah, there's quite a lot to get through that, isn't there?
Yeah.
It was.
I didn't like. It was so hard to try and understand what was going on because it smashed into little bits. There was that bit in the middle, but there was like so much going on. I was trying to write it and watch it, and I was like, I have no idea what's going on here. This is the problem.
This is why, back in the days when I did the 2-minute challenge, I would watch the race, take it in, and then I would go back and I'd watch the 40-minute highlights to remind me of what happened, and then write my review whilst watching.
Do you know what? It was quite funny. Well, what's quite funny is Laura and I, we were away. We obviously were up in the morning and watched the race, and then we were like, oh, we'll watch the checkered flag round, and then we're like, oh, we'll watch Ted. And then it didn't come on, but a rerun of the show of the race came on. So we just watched the rerun. So weirdly, I did see it twice, but I wasn't really watching it either time. I was like, for God's sakes.
So the red flags then. Should we start with them? So the first red flag, the Alex Albon red flag. Are you saying yay or nay? Do you reckon that should have been a red flag or?
The Alex Albon, this is the gravel red flag.
Yeah.
Yes, I think it should have been a red flag. I think Laura was disagreeing with me. She was like, that's no way a red flag, it's gravel. I was like, yeah, but that gravel flying anywhere is dangerous. That's like a bullet flying at you. And that's the problem. If that spins up off a wheel, that is really a speedy bullet coming at you, and coming at the car and could be damaging other stuff. And then to clear the gravel, they had to shut it down. There was no way they could have cleared the gravel without shutting it down.
I think it was the safest solution, but I think initially they thought there was damage to the Tech Pro barriers, and so if they have to replace the Tech Pro, then yes, they have to. Well,
that's what they said, and then they came back with then Ted kept going on about gravel, so I'm not quite sure what it really was.
Yeah, it was the safest solution, but just annoyingly, it kind of killed the strategy of the race because that just meant that everyone made an early stop for for hard tyres, and then was just spent the rest of the race tyre saving. So
this whole tyre saving thing really is pissing me off for it this season. It really is. This whole tyre
just this season, it's been going on for a decade.
I know, but this tyre management, I don't know why. It's really pissing me off this season. The tyre management thing just should stop. Get tyres that can do the race.
Because
they do harder ones that
Because they narrowed the pit lanes and brought down the speed limits in the pit lanes. That meant that it's far too big a penalty in the pit lane now. It takes too long to make a pit stop. So therefore, they are just trying to do it on as fewer sets of tyres as possible. Do you know the simplest way to avoid this? Mandate you have to use all 3 available types of tyre in the race. You do that. Every race is a 2-stop strategy, and then nobody bothers tyre saving because there's no point because you have to use 3 tyres.
Yeah, that makes sense.
3 sets of tyres.
And you have to fuel the car up, so you have to go all the way through the car. You have to fill the car up to a decent, so you can actually complete the race on a tank, without slowing down.
Oh, without fuel saving, you mean?
Without fuel saving.
Yeah, I mean they could, but then
everyone has the same amount of fuel in. Everyone gets started off with, whatever
105 is the limit at the moment.
Well, they all start with 105.
The trouble is that every engine has got a different fuel economy, so that
it doesn't matter. That doesn't matter. You win, you lose with a better fuel engine. That makes it more interesting. Everyone has to deal with 105.
Also, apologies if anyone's been picking up a delayed version of our stream on my microphone because I just realised that my phone was slightly on. So the live stream I've got in the background may have been picking up on my microphone. So I've turned that off now.
I didn't hear it.
Okay, we might have got away with it then. But apologies if you picked that up. So sorry about that. It's not been a good day or a good week, as you can tell. So yeah, I think the first one was the safest solution, but not like the best solution, if that makes sense. So yeah, I'm happy for that one. The second one, 3 laps from the end for the Magnussen crash.
Where was that? Made sense.
Why?
Where was the Magnussen crash?
It was the one where he caught the barrier.
He caught the barrier and he just went along.
And his tyre came off.
There was nowhere safe that he could pull over. Whether it was a red flag or a safety car.
He was right by... For me, he was very close to an exit point. There was a tyre on the track. I thought...
The tyre on the track was the problem.
I thought VSC initially to neutralise the race, assess what was going on, and then full safety car. And then the race would have finished behind the safety car.
Which would have been really boring.
So what's more boring? A race finishing behind the safety car or a parade lap to the line behind the safety car?
But hang on. At 3 laps, you had the chance. At 3 laps, you had the chance to have a decent finish.
You had the chance of carnage, which is exactly what happened.
Yeah.
It's just, yeah.
You had the chance.
Yeah, but what's a more satisfying outcome?
Why does that cause carnage? That's what I can never understand.
Carnage, didn't it? Just look at
but
it.
Why does it cause carnage?
You take the most dangerous
on the first lap race. It doesn't.
Because at the start of a race, people think it's a long race. I'm going to be like Verstappen himself was a bit cautious going into turn 3, and Hamilton threw one up the inside and then managed to get ahead of him. If that had been happening on the last lap, Verstappen would not have been conservative in any way because it's the last lap. So people they throw caution to the wind because it's their chance to make up places, and it's when you've only got 2-3 laps. You saw this. I mean, it wasn't. The thing about when it happened in Baku in 21 was because of Hamilton's issue with his brake magic and everything, but it was just a crazy, it was just a crazy restart, and you get that when you have these 2-lap restarts. And I've not listened to any podcast or anything about this race at all yet, but I listened to one broadcast, and a journalist said this is sports entertainment. It's not fucking sports entertainment. It's a sport that's entertaining. That's a huge difference. We are an entertaining sport. We are not sports entertainment. Do we say WW fucking E? No, we don't. We are Formula One. We are a sport. These are elite athletes. These are sportsmen. They are.
So would WWE
it's-
say that, but we
if
won't
it
get
was-
to that argument there.
If it was sports entertainment, then the result
the
would
Rock
be.
the Rock's doing a live version of
No.
Moana. I'm so excited by that.
If it was sports entertainment, the result would be preordained. We would know. They would know what the result was going to be, and then the entertainment would come from getting to that.
Okay, the
result.
only sport entertainment in the world is WWE. So
Yeah.
like that is
So
the
that's-
only sport entertainment.
Yeah.
While
Formula One is not sports entertainment, and it's not NASCAR. NASCAR is close to sports entertainment because the results don't actually really mean anything, because all they do is you drive around for a bit, and then they throw in a competition caution or a competition red flag, bring the pack back together, and then race to the finish. If Max Verstappen didn't win that race yesterday, that'd be a travesty. Because, like, he deserved to win that race, absolutely. And then just because there was a red flag at the end, because, oh, here's an opportunity to throw a red flag, let's have a standing start, that'll be exciting. Well, that's not really fair, though, is it?
Saudi Arabia 2 years ago,
Saudi Arabia 2 years ago, what?
with the last minute red flag.
That wasn't Saudi Arabia.
Was it right? It was
No, Baku. Baku had it.
Sorry.
Yeah,
Baku.
and same thing with Baku.
Abu Dhabi. That's the
Abu
one.
Dhabi, yeah, and again, that
Sorry.
wasn't a red flag, but similar thing with Abu Dhabi as well. That was a safety car. But there's this whole thing about races have to finish under green. Why? Why do they have to finish under green? I don't get it. It's like in a football match, if someone picks up an injury and then it wastes a bit of time or whatever, yeah, you get a little bit of added time, but people waste time, and then you don't get these exciting ends to races, or you don't get exciting ends to matches. The way they're doing this at the moment, they're basically saying, if this was a football analogy,
But this-
you're going to play 90 minutes of football and then nil the scores to 0-0 at the end and have a penalty shootout to decide the winner. That's what we're doing with this. Is that what we want from this sport? Because that's not sport. That's sports entertainment.
Yeah.
Why bother with the rest of it? Why bother with a
Yeah.
Grand Prix? Why bother with a 2-hour race if all that matters is the last couple of laps?
Yeah. No, that's what it seems to be getting down to is the last couple of laps. But no one wants to see a race finish under safety car.
I'd rather see that than what I saw on Sunday. I mean,
See,
it was exciting, and that's
But then
fine
why
and
bother
everything,
with the
but
safety car?
what's-
Why
what's-
bother with the safety
What's the
car?
integrity
This
of
is
the
what I
race?
think.
What,
Why bother with the safety car? You might as well
What
just
way?
finish the
Well,
race
yeah.
at lap 57.
Yeah,
There is
and
no
to be
reason
honest,
to go to 58.
to be honest, why bother with the safety car at all? Why not just
Yeah.
every time something happens on track, throw a red flag? Because that's what they, if that's what they want, then do that. That's going to be the
Well, then-
safest way. If they're talking safety, that's the safest thing. But you say that's the safest thing, but then you put them in the most dangerous thing in the race, which is a race start when you've got 20 cars or 18 cars or 16 cars or however many haven't binned it, going towards one point from
That's
a
the
standing
thing.
start.
And I had that thing a couple of seasons ago. What is the point of the safety car? I just still don't get the point of the safety
So,
car. In the
the
sense of,
point-
I get the point. I get
Yeah,
the
yeah.
point of it. Don't get me wrong.
Yeah.
But I just think, either just red flag it or have a safety car, and it's one or the other.
I can understand
So-
red flags like for when you've got mass incidents, it's going to be a big cleanup and you're going to have long periods behind the safety car. I actually really agree with red flags then, because I remember there was one year at Silverstone, I was there, Raikkonen crashed into a barrier, broke the barrier, and there was a red flag, and I was like, oh good, at least I haven't paid all this money to sit here and watch them go behind the safety car for 20 laps.
Yeah.
So that I'm all for that. I'm
Yeah.
all for not having long delays in the race and having people driving around for half the race behind the safety car.
That is dull.
If the safety car is going to last more than 5 laps, then I think it should be a red flag.
Yeah.
But that's
Or a distance. Because
what I don't like
sometimes
is when you have.
5 laps is as long as 10 laps in someone else.
Do you know what? If that had been a bigger crash with Magnussen, then I would have. If there'd been 2 cars involved, then maybe yeah, that you could say it's a red flag. But it seemed to me like they were looking for an excuse to throw the red flag, and then they got.
But
an
why
excuse.
didn't Russell fuck it up for everyone and park stupidly when his car blew up?
Well,
He could have parked that in such a stupid position
but why would he?
because that would have then bunched Hamilton back up to Verstappen. Every chance. He was out of the game. He didn't play a team game there. He could have massively helped Hamilton.
But Hamilton was in the lead. Why would he want to?
No, he
red
wasn't in the
flag it?
lead. Hamilton wasn't in the lead then. When he
Yeah,
broke
he
down,
was.
Verstappen was in the lead. Yeah, but no, when Russell
I think
engine
Hamilton was
blew,
still in the lead.
when Russell's engine blew, Verstappen was in the
But
lead.
even so, I don't see. I mean,
I would have pinned that into the most stupidest place I could find. And, safest but stupidest, if that makes sense. Like where I could jump over a barrier and get out of the way, but,
but that would.
in front of everyone.
It's still not going to change the result though, because Verstappen's still the quickest car. It's just going to
Yeah,
drive
but,
away.
but at that point, it would have given Hamilton a chance. And who knows? Another flag and Verstappen goes off. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah,
Another
but also
restart,
the other side of the coin, then it gets to a standing start situation, and Fernando Alonso is a demon at starts.
Mm-hmm.
Then he passes Hamilton. Then all of a sudden, Russell stopping on track has cost Hamilton a place. You can't guarantee it, so you've got to just do the safest thing for you and the safest thing, and the most kind of honourable thing, which is try and get the car.
Oh, don't
safe
put him on a
safety.
fucking martyr cross of being honourable. Oh,
It's not
my God,
about that.
what a
It's about just
whinge
being a decent human being.
bag. I do like the fact with Russell, everyone on our Slack on the Grid Talk group has slowly hating Russell. Have you noticed that? The slow
I
hatred.
haven't, actually.
I'm seeping into everyone. into
Well,
everyone.
you are
Well,
quite toxic. You do infect people with your visions. I mean, look, the other day, for probably the first time in quite a long time in my kind of sports following history, like I'm massively patriotic about British drivers, and generally the British drivers are my favourite drivers, and then the other drivers, depending on who they are, come close. Like Daniel Ricciardo was quite high on my list. George Russell, there's 3 British drivers in Formula One. George Russell is probably my 5th favourite driver.
So high.
Yeah, Norris and Hamilton are my favourite, and then I've got obviously Ricciardo was up there, but now he's not there. Piastri's in there, and Carlos Sainz is in there, and then it's sort of around that area there. It then becomes George Russell. It's kind of
no, it's a lot further down for me. Anyway, talking about useless codwallops, Tsunoda. Supposedly, according to you, I've got a note here that says quietly doing a great job. Sorry, he came 10th. AlphaTauri. I became a troll. I became a troll the other day. I'm sorry. I'm so sorry for becoming this troll. AlphaTauri put on their LinkedIn points in Australia, and I went, point. You missed. You added an S. You got 1 point.
Right. So I've done. I'm going to try and keep.
Literally, they got 1 point when there was only 12 cars left, of which one of them went all the way to the back for 12. So officially, there was only 11 cars which could have got points, and you managed to scrape one.
No, that's not really fair. Science did.
Well done, Tsunoda.
Science did finish on track, so it's not like.
Sorry.
Not like he was
and let's be honest.
classified.
Hang on. He wasn't in 10th when everything happened and everyone exploded. So the only way he got 10th was because they went back to lap 57.
Right. So the reason Tsunoda would have got more points than that if they hadn't have gone back, if they'd have carried on after the restart because of Alonso being knocked to the back and Stroll going off track, he would have got more points. He would have been like 8th or something.
Yeah,
but,
we're talking about Alonso getting
either way. So I'm going to try and keep this up, but I've done the head-to-head so far for qualifying and race. So generally it's kind of 2-1. So first teammate battles like 2-1 for qualifying, 2-1 for race. That's the common thing. Or you've got some 3-0s, like George Russell's beaten Hamilton all 3 times in qualifying, but Hamilton's winning 2-1 in the race, that kind of thing. So there are 2 drivers in the field that have finished ahead of their teammate in every qualifying session and every race. They are Fernando Alonso and Yuki Tsunoda. He's beaten his teammate in all 3 qualifying sessions and all 3 races, and given all the hype about Nick De Vries at the start of the season and the fact that car is an absolute dog.
But let's be honest, it is Nick De Dick. Let's be honest.
Formula E world champion, Formula 2 world champion.
It is Nick De Dick. He is not as good as everyone said he was. I said this from the very, very beginning, that he is not going to be anything. Go back, listen to the podcast. I said he was going to be rubbish this year.
Good job.
No, he is doing a better job. He is not doing a good job. He is doing a better job.
Not a good job.
Better than a slug. He is doing a race better than a slug. He is a cockroach versus a slug. That is all that
purely
is.
on my driver rating.
If anyone else was there, they would stamp all over both of them.
Based
But
purely on my
a
driver
slug
ratings,
a cockroach is doing better than a slug.
based purely on my driver ratings, Yuki Tsunoda is doing as good a job as Charles Leclerc.
What?
Admittedly, and George Russell.
Sorry, Charles Leclerc.
And he's doing a better job than
whose
Sergio
teammate
Perez.
is doing
He's
better
doing
than
a
him.
better job than Pierre Gasly. He's doing a better job than Oscar Piastri. And he's doing a slightly
he's
worse
doing a
job
better
Max
job than
Verstappen.
Leclerc, surely. Sainz is higher than Leclerc.
Not on my individual driver ratings. Based on the 3 races so far. Leclerc has had 2 decent races and 1 rubbish race. But he didn't get the results because of unreliability and things outside of his control.
Okay.
So, yeah.
So Sainz is still a better driver. Okay, McGann.
Where's Sainz compared to?
I don't know what Ferrari are going to do this year. Because Sainz is wiping.
Even though Sainz has beaten Leclerc in all 3 races, I haven't got him scoring as high as Leclerc overall.
See, Sainz, I think Ferrari have got a problem. We all know that Ferrari have got a problem, but they've got a problem with their team because they have their lead boy is not the lead boy this year.
At the moment, definitely not.
He's not showing any promise of being the lead boy.
Well, he's showing pace in qualifying, and he's showing that he does have race pace, but he's also having a lot of issues. Like he's crashed out in turn 1. He's had the engine failure, and then he's had I can't remember what happened in Saudi Arabia now, to be honest. But yeah, he had problems in Saudi Arabia with the qualifying as well, didn't he? So because he had the grid drop.
Yeah.
So he's not getting the results that he deserves, but I'm sure that will come back. But I did predict at the start of the season that.
But Tsunoda. Do you think Tsunoda's keeping that seat next year?
I think he's giving himself a chance. I think a lot of people wrote him off straight away.
I think AlphaTauri just hang themselves out for. I'm
not even convinced that AlphaTauri will be called AlphaTauri next year. I'm not convinced.
That's what I don't think. I think they're hanging themselves out to sell.
It's not a viable long-term business prospect at the moment. So I don't know what's going to go on with that. But you've got the Honda thing isn't going to be of any benefit anymore. I know they're supplying Red Bull until the end of 2025, so that might save Tsunoda. But then they've got other great Japanese talent coming through in Uemi Iwasa in F2.
Oh yeah, he's doing really well.
Is doing really well. I picked him for the championship this year, and he's doing a great job. So he could potentially slot into that AlphaTauri seat if they needed a Japanese driver for the next couple of years. So he's under pressure from that situation. Also, the fact that he's a Red Bull young driver and a Honda back driver as well, that's going to put pressure on him as well. And everyone, as you said, jumped on the Nick de Vries bandwagon when nobody rated him, nobody would touch him, even though he was Formula 2 and Formula E world champion. Nobody would touch him.
Because there was a reason. And what changed? Everyone forgot while he was sat there licking Toto's bumhole or something.
So he got the drive. He got the drive for Williams, didn't he? And he did a good job. But no one saw what Albon was going to do in that car. Everyone knows how bad Nick Latifi was last year. He just couldn't adapt to those cars. No. But he was under a lot of pressure. Everyone kind of expected Nick de Vries to come in and deliver. And I was one of the ones that thought he would do better than he is. I didn't think he was going to absolutely destroy Tsunoda, but I did think he would do better than he is. But that might partially be because I don't really rate Pierre Gasly that highly, and Pierre Gasly tidily put him away. So, but I think he's definitely made a step, and he's definitely given himself a chance of keeping that seat. If he can go through the season without any stupid crashes, without making any
De Vries or Tsunoda?
Tsunoda, without making any serious mistakes, I think Tsunoda has certainly in the opening 3 races. He's definitely on the B+.
I don't think. Had
his best 3 races of his career.
I don't think he's a B+ at all. But I think.
In fact, I've just remembered. Do you know where Tsunoda was going to be had the race finished instead of being red flag and taken back?
Go on.
5th.
Yeah, but hang on. Where was he before that red flag? Before everyone crashed?
He was. I have to double check. I think he was 11th.
Okay, so he was out of the points.
He was out of the points, yeah. So, but that car, that's what I'm saying. That car. That car is terrible. And you look at the race he had as well. He was having a great race with Norris. And you know that the McLaren's not great this year, but it is a bottom of the points. It is natural pace of that McLaren is 11th place, 10th, 11th place, just scraping in on the points. And that AlphaTauri
they did well. Both those McLarens did well this year.
is
This
probably
week,
the
yeah,
worst
this
car
week.
on the grid. It's close to Williams, the AlphaTauri. Those two cars are the worst two cars on the grid. And Tsunoda was there having a great battle with Norris, and I think he's had a decent first 3 races. So I'm saying I think he's definitely come in with a different mentality, a bit more mature, still a bit hot-headed at times, but who knows if he can get things done for the rest of the season consistently. I think Tsunoda has given himself a chance of staying in Formula One. I'm not saying for definite he is, but he's definitely given himself a chance. So I just kind of feel like we need to mention that because nobody seems to talk about him. I think he's doing a great job.
Okay, you've stuck your 2 pennies worth in for that one. Not
have.
that I agree at all.
Okay.
So that Sainz penalty at the end, yes or no?
I think the offence in its own right, probably a 5-second penalty would be fine in the race. But given the circumstances, given that it happened on the penultimate lap, on a restart, so it's effectively a lap 1, turn 1 incident, and the fact that the race was red flagged straight afterwards and there was no harm, no foul, I would say potentially it's a bit harsh. It could have been...
I just feel it's
maybe a grid
weird.
drop. Maybe given that there was no way, that he had no physical racing way that he could have recovered
a 3-place grid penalty, I agree with.
Yeah, something like
don't
that
think
for
it's
the following race,
perfect.
because then you can plan for it. You go into the race knowing you've got it, and then you can react to it. Maybe
But
that would have been a
Ocon
better choice.
Didn't get a penalty, because that was for driving into Gasly.
It's Gasly driving to Ocon, but okay.
Okay, no, it was Ocon driving into Gasly.
No, Gasly came back on track, drifted across the front of Ocon, and then smashed into him.
I
I would say Gasly.
I thought they were
Gasly-
talking about it because I thought they said Ocon because he's now only missed a penalty race.
No, that's Gasly.
Oh, is
Gasly's
it
on 10,
Gasly?
Gasly's
Oh,
on
is it
10
Gasly
penalty
on 10?
points. No,
Okay, sorry.
Ocon put his nose in a
Gasly,
difficult
sorry,
position.
Gasly then.
Ocon put his nose in a difficult position, but Gasly was the one who was predominantly to blame for that incident, in my opinion.
So then Gasly didn't get a penalty, and yet that was a racing incident.
I
But
think,
is their
again,
view
with that one...
and that was harm.
Yeah, with that one, it's his teammate, isn't it? So I think with that one,
Yeah, but that's not how it works.
yeah, what I'm
That's
saying
not how
is,
rules work.
what I'm saying is, they've
fuck
used
everything.
common sense on the Alpine one. So well, look, the
And
only
then
people
forgot
this is
about it on
affected,
Sainz.
the only people this is affected is the 2 Alpine drivers. They've probably thought this isn't a good look for Formula One if a driver gets a race ban as well. As wrong as that is, but again, to use another football analogy, if somebody's on a yellow card and they do a stupid foul, the ref might be, oh, I don't want to send him off for that, you know. So it's a similar situation to that. I think that probably has factored into it. They know that 2 penalty points would give him a race ban, so they probably thought, well, he hasn't affected anyone else's race. They can deal with it internally. It's all to do with the team. The team are the people that have been punished because of damage. He's not hurt anyone outside of the team. We'll just let that one go. But I do think they should have potentially done that with Sainz as well, giving him a penalty of some description. But I don't see that it's not fair.
I think a grid.
There
Grid
was
drop
no way
is
that
fine.
he could
I
have...
just think the 5 second was unfair.
Yeah, even if there was a couple of racing laps left, it would have been fine. But the fact there was no racing laps at all, there was no physical way that he could do anything to recover from that. I just thought that was that was, given that there was no real, it only affected Alonso's race, and Alonso's was put back into position anyway. In the same way that if you overtake someone off track,
Alonso ends up should have been out.
Yeah. So
and ends up somehow at the back and somehow ends up in third.
Yeah. Another scenario, if you overtake somebody off the track and don't give the position back, you get a 5 second penalty. However, if you give that position back, there's no penalty. The position was given back.
Yeah.
So he shouldn't really have got a penalty if you're applying that logic.
Yeah.
So
logic and the FAA.
Yes, I agree that by the letter of the law and looking at the offence, it probably is a 5 second penalty. But common sense, I just don't see why it needed to be a 5 second penalty. I think it's a bad look in general. And to be honest, this whole thing is a bad look for Formula One.
And what do you think of Ferrari generally?
I think they operationally they're terrible at the moment. I think that
it's
car...
just Ferrari being Ferrari again. I thought we were going to lose that with the new captain, the new manager, Fred.
It's too early to say how good Vasser's doing because everyone
Well, he's
said,
been
look,
ill as well. He's had
Yeah.
a back injury, hasn't
yeah, but everyone said that, if this car is great and Ferrari are on pace, which everyone thought they were going to be, or a lot of people thought they were going to be, then this is, Mattia Binotto deserves all the praise. And now that things aren't going well, people are saying, well, is it working with Fred Vasseur? No, it's the same. This is Mattia Binotto's team at the moment. You
Yeah,
can't judge Fred
nothing's
Vasseur
changed.
until next year. I mean, I personally don't think that Vasseur's the right person for the job, but who knows? I'm happy to be proven wrong on that. But you cannot blame Vasseur for what's happening at the moment at Ferrari.
No.
It's going to be a minimum of 6 months before he has any major impact on that team.
And to be
anything
fair,
happens
that
before
car was made before he even turned up. There's nothing
100%
he did with that
completely
car.
finished. He didn't start on that with that team until a few weeks before the season. So
Yeah.
he has had no influence on that car. Not that he designs the car anyway in his role as team principal anyway, but still.
But you know what I mean, is that
But that car
he's had no influence on
the car's improved from last year, but it hasn't even improved as much as the Mercedes has. And the Mercedes have binned their concept off. So it has improved, but Aston Martin and Mercedes and Red Bull have all improved more.
Yeah.
So
Which
yeah,
doesn't
they
help.
have
And
they
it's
have
just like-
taken a step back, definitely, and I think they've now realised that their car concept is probably fit for the scrap heap as well. And everyone's just gonna
But their car concept was quite good at the beginning of last year.
yeah, but it's
They
the
were the
ceiling,
ones
isn't
with
it?
the deep channels. They were the deep channels
Yeah,
side pods.
yeah, the hot
almost.
tub,
and that was
the
a
hot
thing,
tub side
you
pods.
know.
Oh yeah,
You know,
their
that
car
was a
looked the
thing,
best.
and that-
Their car absolutely looked the best. But the old average of if it looks great, it will go fast. That's not necessarily true. But
I was
you look at-
watching Drive to Survive.
I've still not got through it. I'm
the
only on
beginning-
I'm only on episode
I-
5.
I was just watching the episode 1 again yesterday, and it was so funny. It was just like George Russell going, "Oh, it looks fast." I was like,
Yeah, really?
"Yeah, mate."
Well, I mean, it
how
was
did that go
fast,
for you?
but speed is relative.
Yeah,
It's fast compared to a bicycle, or compared
compared
to
to Yuki Tsunoda in a Ferrari.
compared to most other racing cars. To be fair, it is fast.
Yeah.
It is bloody fast compared to most
Yeah.
racing cars. Just
Yeah.
not the Red Bulls or the Ferraris. But yeah, no, it's just a difficult situation for Ferrari. I think that their whole concept is just it's a great concept, but the Red Bulls is better, and they found a better concept, and I think everyone is going to converge on.
Is the Red Bulls better, or is it just Verstappen's driving it so much better? Yeah,
No,
the Red Bulls are better. I think Sergio Perez proved that point.
Sergio Perez is,
moving up.
is a fine Formula One driver. He's a decent Formula One driver. He is slightly better than Lance Stroll. That's how high I rate him, and he's winning races. So that shows that it's a great car. He is comprehensively beating some of the best drivers in Formula One comfortably. And so that just goes to show how good that car is. And, Sergio Perez is infinitely better than me and most people. And to be fair, quite a few Formula One drivers. But he's definitely not the worst driver on the grid. He's probably, for me, he's probably edging to that top 10, that kind of area.
There's lots of rumours. There's lots of rumours as to him staying.
Oh, yeah,
Red Bull.
he's got a contract. I think he's got a contract for 2 years. I'm sure he's already signed up for next year. So, I mean, I would love to see Daniel Ricciardo get put in that seat, but I don't think it's gonna happen.
My thought is De Vries or Tsunoda leaving.
No. Neither of those two have shown enough to.
And Rico going in.
Oh, into AlphaTauri. Would you want to go back to the team that he? I know
He wants to be. He's got to make that choice. He either is in F1 or he's not.
Yeah,
That's what he's got to
be in a
make. He's
competitive
in
car.
F1 in a
For
shit
him-
car or not.
For him, I can't see him going to AlphaTauri. I can't see that. I think for him, he's in a competitive car or he's out of Formula One. He might jump into that kind of scenario in a one-race scenario. So say like Yuki Tsunoda gets COVID or something. I know they're not really doing on-track testing anymore, but say something happens and one of those drivers misses a race. It happened last year with Alex Albon getting tonsillitis. So if he jumps into a car and then shows that he's still got it and it was just a McLaren situation that was the problem, then somebody will take a risk on him. But sorry, if it's not a car that's going to be getting regular podiums or fighting for podiums, then I don't think he's going to be interested. And that's realistically, that's Ferrari, Red Bull, Mercedes. McLaren ain't going to touch him. He's not going to go to McLaren.
No.
Aston Martin is a possibility if Lance Stroll were to get injured or or Alonso gets injured or anything like that. That's a possibility there. Not long term though. That wouldn't be a long term deal. Long term, there's not a lot of teams that would touch him. Alpine have already said they're not going to go that way. So
I think
who does that leave?
AlphaTauri is an option. AlphaTauri, Haas. No, Haas is, I think, is the right decision with the right people.
AlphaTauri and Haas, I can't see happening. Alfa Romeo with the Audi backing coming in, it's possible. If Audi like him, then they might do. But then what? He's going to be like 34 when Audi come in. Are they going to want him?
Yeah.
He'd be a good backup if they can't get Lando Norris, which I'm sure will be their first choice. So there's a possibility if he could get back in there. But I think probably Red Bull is his best shot.
With McLaren's going to have issues, I think. Things have got to change.
Well, things have changed. Things have changed.
Yeah, but that was a pre-decided, according to Zach Brown. That was pre-decided. And that was interesting. Zach Brown openly saying there's no clauses on Lando Norris leaving.
Yeah, so he's locked in. He's got a 4-year contract.
No, but there's no clauses if he leaves. There's no.
I think what he's saying there is there's no performance clauses.
Yeah.
So therefore, his contract is his contract. Therefore, he's locked into McLaren until the end of 25.
All right, so he can't move basically.
Yeah.
He doesn't have to do anything.
Yeah, or it's going to take a lot of money for him to leave.
Yeah.
Seemingly. So basically,
and I think McLaren will come back. I don't think it's a Williams. I don't think it's going to tumble down as far as Williams tumbled.
Not again. I don't think they will. To be honest, like you look at the situation with McLaren at the moment, they got how many points? How many points did they get? Was it 12 points? Yeah, 12 points they got at the weekend. That's jumped them up from last to fifth.
Yeah.
They're ahead of Alpine, who have got a much better car.
Mm-hmm.
And that's and they've had 2 unlucky races as well. And they've got their new car concept. Excuse me. They've got a few upgrades coming in for Baku, and they've got a few more coming along, sort of Silverstone time, which is where they're going to get more of a B-spec car. So they should, because this car has not been realistically developed since Christmas at all. Mm-hmm. So they should have a reasonable step forward when they get their new bits on the car. So they should move forwards, and they are in that fight for 5th place. I mean, it's disappointing that it is a fight for 5th. I can't see them taking the fight to Ferrari. It would be hilarious if they did, but I can't see them taking the fight to Ferrari. So realistically, 5th place is where they're going to be fighting for this year. And I think they do have a chance. I mean, it looked like at the start that Haas and Alpine and even Alfa Romeo were ahead of them, but I think it's obvious now that they are going to be...
Weirdly, Haas is their competition, in my mind.
Yeah, I mean, I think AlphaTauri and Williams are going to be fighting out for the bottom spot, and McLaren, Alpine, Haas, and Alfa Romeo are going to be fighting out for that 5th. And I think McLaren have got a good shot, given that they got those 12 points on the board at the weekend. That's put them in position. That's given them something to hold on to, and the car is only going to get better. So I think they've got a good shot. I mean, will.
That team's not as bad as it used to be. I think that, to be honest, I don't like either of their drivers, but it's the right drivers for that team.
Yeah, I've never been a huge fan of Magnussen. He was far better than Mick Schumacher, who was far better than Nikita Mazepin. But Hulkenberg appears to be better than Magnussen. And he's done great. His qualifying form has been excellent. He's a 3-0 on Magnussen. He's out-qualified him in every race. Magnussen got the headline result for the 10th place, but Hulkenberg's come back. You know, if things had gone slightly differently, Sainz had got his penalty and they hadn't have red flagged lap 57, then Hulkenberg's on the podium.
Yeah.
It's just...
so it is. I think the Haas has made the right decision there.
100%. They've been completely vindicated now. I
feel that they're a proper team now. It feels like they're a decent midfield team. They're not like the greatest, but I'm hoping they get a bit more sponsorship, they get a bit more money, because I think there is something with that team.
I said I would rather see a young Mick Schumacher in that car than Nico Hulkenberg come back. But now that he's there...
You were wrong.
It was more because of we know what Nico Hulkenberg can do, but we're not 100% sure what Mick Schumacher can do. But now that Hulkenberg's there, he's instantly shown that he's still got it, and Nico Hulkenberg is one of those great... wasted talents, never achieved anything near what he deserved. And I really hope that this year there's a freak result and he gets that podium that it's just haunting him through the years. So yeah, hopefully he does.
Tom's just dying. Freak Haas would be great.
Yes, yeah, it would be great. Yeah, I just managed to get to the mute just before I died on the microphone there.
There we go.
Cool.
Yeah.
Alpine wasting points left, right, and centre. Only 8 points so far. In that car.
Otmar. That's all my answer is Otmar. I don't have any answer apart from Otmar. I think he's just useless. He's just a useless.
I disagree.
He's just
I think
useless.
Otmar's fine. Otmar did a great job
What?
at Force India. He did a great job at Force India. And then Aston Martin, it just didn't work out. Is well documented. He didn't get on with Lawrence Stroll. I think it's the Alpine operation. I just don't have any confidence in the Renault group when it comes to running a Formula One team.
Yeah.
And I genuinely, with all the manufacturers coming into Formula One seemingly, I genuinely wouldn't miss Renault if they went out.
No.
They've needed them for a long time, but with Ford coming in, with Audi coming in, we're obviously going to get some more engines coming in now, and I would not be bothered if Renault were to drop out of the sport now.
Renault are the only company that run Renault engines, aren't they? Anyway, Alpine are the only company that run Renault.
Yeah, they are looking for a customer, and I think if Andretti come in, I think the deal was that they were going to have Renault engines, but they were going to be badged as Cadillacs for some reason, because GM Motors can't build Formula One race engines. So yeah, they were going to be Renault engines badged as Cadillacs for the first few years until Cadillac could build their own. Yeah, but who knows? I can't see anyone taking on that power unit because it's since 2014 it has been the worst power unit. Apart from those few years as Honda, obviously Honda were the worst power unit for a little while. But yeah, but looking at the standings, I mean the Constructors' Championship, it's already done and dusted. Red Bull 123 points. Aston Martin have moved up to second now on 65 with that third and fourth with Lance Stroll, who we haven't really spoken about. But Mercedes are still sitting there in third place, so that looks like a fight between those two for second. Ferrari a little bit further back on 26 with McLaren on the 12 points I said there. And Williams have dropped down to the bottom spot again now on countback with AlphaTauri, just 1 point each. The drivers' standings...
I don't think it's fair because that's not fair because Williams was better.
Well, they've both got a point, but
no, Williams was better. He just fucked up.
I mean, but look at what happened. Albon dropped it on his own, and Sargent flew into the back of De Vries. Was it De Vries he flew into the back of?
Yeah.
Yeah. So, excuse me, 2 driver errors, and they got no points. So that was the kind of race where Williams should be getting a 5th and a 6th.
Yeah.
But this driver error.
Because their car isn't that bad.
It's not that great, but it's
not that bad.
It's a step forward, but it's still kind of on a par with the AlphaTauri. The trouble is, there's kind of a midfield at the moment. There's no back markers, so Williams have now firmly joined the midfield, but they're in that clump. And the trouble is, they've got a driver that's very new to Formula One, who is decent, but he's very new to Formula One, and I think he's in the worst position there.
And Alex Albon.
Yeah, Alex Albon's decent though. He's okay. He's fine. I think he's got enough experience now to carry that team. Max Verstappen leads the Drivers' Championship with 69 points. Perez, shot car second with 54. Fernando Alonso still third with 3 third places there, 45 points. Lewis Hamilton only 7 points behind him now with that second place. Carlos Sainz 20 points, level with Lance Stroll. George Russell 18 points, Lando Norris 8 points, Nico Hulkenberg 6 points, and then Charles Leclerc 6 points in 10th place. Do you know, if Charles Leclerc doesn't score a decent amount of points at the next race, it's his worst ever start to a season. Given his first season was with Sauber that were back of the grid, that's pretty shocking. And then going down, the only drivers with no points. Only drivers with no points are Logan Sargent and Nick De Vries. Nick De Vries sitting 20th out of 20 based on countback. So
that's because he's shit.
And then, but every team does have points now. Every team does have points.
At least a point.
Has a points finish at least. So,
Who was your driver of the day?
I take it that's where you were going.
Yeah, I only heard of the day. It was quite random.
I think you were talking over the top of it. That's
No.
why.
Who
Driver
was
of
your
the
driver?
day. Driver of the day. Do you know what? For me, it's not Verstappen because Verstappen made a few mistakes and lost the lead twice. It's not Perez because he made the mistake in qualifying. It's not Leclerc because he didn't have enough of a race. It's not Sainz because of his error at the end there. George Russell had a decent race. He had no problems with him. But again, I don't think he did enough of the race to warrant driver of the day. Lewis Hamilton did a solid job. He's in contention. It's not Ocon or Gasly because they both contributed to their own downfall. Lando Norris had a great race, actually.
And they did have a good race.
Or Fernando, again. Fernando had a strong race.
No, he got lucky at the end, though. He
Well,
got
he was
lucky
still-
to get
he was
third.
still-
He got lucky to get third.
Do you know what? I'm going to go outfield here. I'm going to say Nico Hulkenberg. Nico
Strong.
Hulkenberg's my driver today.
Strong. I am probably going to go. I'm actually going to go with Hamilton.
Fair?
Great,
I think
you
it's a
know.
decent shout. I think.
It was a very good race, good drive. Had
Weirdly-
some challenges.
Hamilton, Norris, Hulkenberg, and I know you won't agree with me, but Tsunoda, they were my 4 outstanding performers from the race.
But yeah, I'll sort of go with those. But I'll go with Hamilton.
Okay.
And then who was your dick?
Dick of the day.
Who's our dick of the day?
Got to be Gasly for driving into his own fucking teammate, hasn't it?
No. I mean, it's just funny. Magnussen,
Russell
potentially.
for whinging.
All those fans for invading the track. You see that?
No.
Yeah, they invaded the track while they were on the slowdown
Okay,
lap.
that's really dickish.
Yeah,
Hang on.
especially when Hulkenberg's car had broken down and it was still live.
Yeah, dick of the day. I'm sorry. We're back to the FAA.
Well,
Race marshals.
sorry, I think the application of the rules as they're written were fine, but the trouble is the rules
Or
are
Stewart,
written
sorry,
wrong.
that's the one.
The rules are written wrong. They need to change some of the rules.
Okay.
And
The rules are the dick. The rules are the dick.
do you know what?
I think
No.
does it that Sainz's penalty was the dick of the day. Let's be
Yeah, I
honest.
don't like
that
to
was a
always go
real
with-
dick.
I don't like to always go with stewarding, but I hasten to agree on this one. I think, yeah, we're going to go with stewarding on this one. So, yeah,
Once
that
again.
stewarding. Great. So we've got a month off now. Next up is Baku,
I know
isn't
it's
it?
a bit weird.
It's three.
I've got
China
a visitor
cancellation.
though coming.
You got a visitor?
Hmm.
What's that?
From Grid Talk is coming to Kerry.
Oh, really?
Yes,
Who's that?
George.
Ah, bless him.
George is coming over to visit me.
Ah, that's nice.
So-
You're going to meet George before I do. I've never actually
I know.
met George.
That's hilarious, isn't it?
Mm.
Yeah, I'm in a different country and I'm going to meet George.
I've
So,
sent a
yeah.
candle to Tom Downey in the post. Again, I've not actually met him.
Is he dead?
Uh,
Why have you sent him a candle?
because it was a chocolate flavoured one. Well, chocolate scented one, not flavoured, obviously. Tom, don't eat the candle! But it's shaped like an egg. It's an Easter egg present for him.
You don't even send your godson an Easter egg.
Well, what happens when I send things to Ireland? No, to be fair, he asked for one because I'd made one and I showed him a picture while we were chatting playing F1 2022 and we were talking about it, and so I said I'd send him one. So I sent him this little candle I made because I've been doing.
You
candle
actually
making.
made the candle.
Yeah, I've been making candles lately. I've made about 30 candles at home. It's driving Emily insane.
What is wrong with you?
Scented candles. I'm making them. It's good. You look. Oh, your face is a picture.
What is wrong with you? Where's Tom? What's going on?
I like making candles. What can I say? It's therapeutic.
Right. Bye.
On that note, we'll see you in Baku.
Bye.
Bye.
chocolate candles